Sup guys, welcome back to another Fallout video, and before I even get into anything, I'd like to apologize for my last video. It just turned out pretty shitty. I mean, the quality was kind of bad, and the actual text I edited into the video was messed up, and it made the video look pretty bad. And it was just a few problems on my end, but luckily those issues should be fixed in this video and future videos, as you could see. Anyway, all problems aside, the topic I wanted to discuss in this video is if Fallout had multiplayer, and I know, there's some mods for multiplayer on New Vegas, and maybe even other Fallout games. But what I'm specifically talking about is Fallout officially having multiplayer and modded multiplayer. And I actually find a huge difference in multiplayer being in Fallout modded and officially. To some of you, it may be obvious why there's a huge difference between the two, but I'm still going to talk about it for those of you who don't think it's obvious, and I just want to talk about it, so let's finally get into it. Now, let's start off why I think it would be very different between an official and a modded multiplayer for Fallout. I also want to start off saying that I never played the New Vegas mod for multiplayer, so I don't know every detail for the mod, so try not to get too mad at me if I get anything wrong. Anyway, let's start off with the modded multiplayer. And the thing with the modded multiplayer is that Fallout is not meant to have multiplayer so far. And when it comes to adding multiplayer to a single player game, I imagine a lot of things wouldn't work or wouldn't be as good rather than playing the game in single player. For example, the dialogue system, which is a huge thing in Fallout, I'm sure as all of you know. I'm just trying to imagine how that would work in multiplayer in like a nice clean way where it just makes sense. Like if one person talks to an NPC, would the other person see that conversation? I mean, I would hope not. I don't know how that would work well. I'm sure more realistically, each player would be able to have their own conversations without the other person being involved. But wouldn't that mean one player could just keep doing quests and be ahead in the story and even beat the main quest line before the other player? I'm just trying to think how the dialogue system would work for a modded multiplayer. The only real idea I can think of is each player just having nothing to do with each other's dialogue. And in that case, modded multiplayer doesn't sound too appealing so far. Also, what about something as simple as exploring together? Like, okay, I can imagine this working really well in the beginning of the game because you have to do the same quests and pretty much would have to do the same thing to progress. But what about in the late game, just later on? I don't know about that, guys, but so far in each Fallout game when I hit towards the end of the game, I fast travel a lot when I'm exploring new locations. So to keep the game interactive, when a player has to fast travel, would the other player fast travel with them? But I mean, at least the way I explore new areas, I like to loot the hell out of the location and then fast travel to a town and sell the junk that I found. Or in Fallout 4's case, I would fast travel back and store the junk. And unless both players want to do this, having multiplayer wouldn't do anything except just keep company a little bit. So a possible way to avoid that is to remove fast traveling, and that would probably work really well for some players. You know, some people who enjoy hardcore in New Vegas and survival and Fallout 4. But as for me, I really enjoy the fast travel feature. I don't want the game to be realistic enough where it's painful to go to certain areas. Also, when it comes to exploring, if one player discovers a new area, will it count as the other player finding the location too? If so, then that's almost game breaking for me. But if not, then it's all good because, you know, to be honest, that'd be a pretty annoying feature if that was included. But yeah, I'm sure modded multiplayer works fine for Fallout New Vegas, or no one else would really play it, I would assume. But let's get into what I really wanted to discuss most in this video, and that is if Bethesda or Obsidian added multiplayer in the next Fallout or any future Fallouts. and I find this much easier to talk about because I have the perfect comparison, and I'm sure some of you guys see it coming, and it would be a Fallout multiplayer in a similar format to the Borderlands multiplayer. Now, I could see this as a good and a bad thing, and just so you guys know, I have played Borderlands before, just not a lot, and I didn't make it super far, but I do have some experience with it and its multiplayer. Now, the reason why I bring up Borderlands is because obviously it has its similarities to Fallout and its multiplayer works. Or maybe I should say co-op, you guys know what I mean. It's pretty similar in this case. Anyway, just imagine if Fallout did what Borderlands did. I mean, the multiplayer would work, but it would take away a lot of elements that makes Fallout so great. Like, you would have less choice of where you want to go, and the whole game would just be more linear and less open. Now, I can imagine this working and the community loving and hating it, about maybe a 50-50, maybe more people would like it if it was good. And I think I would be the half that would enjoy the game, but it wouldn't necessarily feel like a Fallout game, if you know what I'm saying. It would be a similar view of what people have on Fallout 4. Some people just don't see it as a traditional Fallout game, and I think something similar would happen, but I do think it's an idea that could possibly work. A lot of game developers out there, they don't take enough risks, and I think this could be a risk that may be worth taking if they pull it off really well and make it really fun. A worry I would have is that if you would play the game single player when they make the game for multiplayer, it might not be as fun. That's how I feel about Borderlands. It's a game I have to play with a friend, and I would not want that feeling in Fallout because Fallout is my favorite single player game, and I wouldn't want multiplayer to ruin the single player, so it would be very hard for the developers trying to balance how fun it would be for single player and multiplayer. Honestly, guys, I don't have much more to say on the topic, but to sum it up, I don't know how modded multiplayer would work in Fallout, but I'm sure it works fine in the New Vegas mod. And if Fallout did have multiplayer, it would not be your traditional Fallout game, but I do think it would be very fun to have a game similar to Borderlands with a Fallout skin over it. I do think it would attract a lot of new people and get people's eyes on the game, and it would attract a lot of attention, but I'm sure it would piss some people off. So yeah, guys, that's everything I wanted to say. To be honest, I wasn't too confident with some of the ideas I had, mostly for the modded multiplayer side of things. I do think a Fallout/Borderlands type of game would be sick, but that's very unlikely and probably never gonna happen. I would like a multiplayer mode in a traditional Fallout game to work, but that would probably be very hard to do. Maybe Fallout is just meant to be a single player game forever, which I would honestly be fine with. But yeah, guys. Also, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, I apologize for my last 2 Fallout videos being kind of shitty in quality. That is my fault. We should be good now. It's just how I recorded it got messed up. It's no big deal. All is good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and maybe comment an idea you guys would have for a multiplayer Fallout game. Also, subscribe if you want some more Fallout content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.